Today you represented Som and his wife. Are you their attorney of record?
Yeah, I'm representing both of them in the case. There's no conflict or difference of view in the case.
Some very serious charges. We're talking felonies, we're talking child abuse, we're talking drugs, possession of drugs. This is very serious.
Well, I yeah, anytime there's a charge is serious, but fortunately when you get to the underlying facts, the facts are that these are excellent parents. The child is well taken care of. The child was never harmed and is responding beautifully. So I think it's an unfortunate incident, but time will rectify this case.
But Mr. Piccarreta, if everything is A-OK, then why does Dependent Child Services have custody of the child?
Well, the custody of the child is with the grandmother, while the parents are given virtually full contact with the child. So they have to be convinced that there's no risk of future harm, and they're moving in that direction. And as soon as they're comfortable that this is an isolated, aberrant act that will never be repeated, then I think things will go back to normal for the child and for the family.
How was the child? The child was hospitalized, though. What
Well,
was its condition?
the family took the child to the hospital out of an abundance of caution. They probably didn't need to do that, but being good parents, they took the child to the hospital. The child was monitored. The child is fine and released without any permanent or temporary injury.
Well, there had to be a reason they took the child out to the hospital.
Well, they became concerned as parents when the child was lethargic, and then they took the child to the hospital, as you would want parents to do, dealt the situation. The child was fine and is fine.
And
Why
what
was
did
the child
hospital find
lethargic?
out? Or what did the test show that was wrong with the child?
Well, I don't want to comment on the merits. All I can say is there was no injury to the child, and the child responded well. The child is fine. The parents love the child immensely and are taking care of the child and regret having put the child or themselves through this incident. It will not be repeated.
It's my understanding that the child was around cocaine, that the child had ingested some cocaine from breast milk. Is this true?
Well, hypothetically, if the child ingested cocaine through breast milk, then you got to realize that there is different understandings as to when a recreational drug will be out of your system. And if there's a misjudgment as to how fast it's out of your system, then it's an error that has been learned and won't be repeated.
So
We're
they-
both using cocaine?
I'm not going to discuss who was using what, but all I can say is there's no serious concerns of drug abuse. There's no serious concerns of future drug abuse. It's a mistake was made, and they're going through the process to demonstrate to everybody that they're fit, excellent parents, and this incident will never be repeated.
And they have contact as much as they want, or what are the restrictions?
The mother has full contact 24/7. Som has 12 hours a day contact, and I anticipate as everyone gets more comfortable understanding the isolated incident, the aberrance of this act, that they will move to reunite the child with her parents, because that's what's best for her.
Do you anticipate any prison time for either?
I can't speak for the county attorney, but it would be a gross injustice if even the mention of prison time. I anticipate they will demonstrate that they have learned a very hard, embarrassing lesson, and that this will become a footnote in their life, not a chapter.
Well, you mentioned recreational use, so we're both using cocaine as recreational use?
I'm not going to discuss that, but all I'm saying is there's no issues of addiction or continued abuse or anything like that.
And well, Kristen has 24/7 contact. The baby's not in her custody, in someone else's custody, but the mother has as much contact as she wants.
Yeah, the mother has contact. The child is with the grandmother. The authorities involved have been quite reasonable. They just had to get their handle on the situation, understand it, and once they understand it, and they're continuing to learn about it, I think things will be able to be worked out in a way that's best for everyone.
So the baby's fine. How are the parents? How are
Well, the
Som and
parents
Lisaius?
are emotionally distraught. They are very, very upset. They are upset with themselves for putting themselves in this position, but they've learned some lessons, and they've learned what's important, and now they've learned they have to demonstrate to everyone that this act is really not who they are, and that it will not be repeated, and they will.
Do you think there'll be some sort of plea bargain done?
I think we will try and do justice, which get the matter resolved in a manner that's best for the child, reunite the family, and let this move behind them. They're very, very good people. They're kind people, and a mistake was made, and they have to deal with the mistake, which they are, with their heads held high, and they'll put it on. We all make mistakes. We've all done things that we regret, and we've all sometimes the mistakes harm others, and when you do, you take responsibility and you put it behind you and you learn from it, and that's what's going to go on.
Okay, so the expectation is a plea bargain.
Expectation is to resolve it in a way that in proportion to the intent of the act.
In other words, it was an accident.
Well, it was a mistake. There's a mistake, and the goal is to let's get this family back together. They have a lot to offer. Let's not try and make an example out of people when realizing they did the right thing when the baby was lethargic, went straight to the hospital, and the child's interests are paramount to them and to us, and that's who we're concerned about now.
So the baby was released that night?
No, the baby stayed there for observation and then was eventually released, and then CPS analyzed it and brought the child on, with the grandmother. And then they tried to get to the bottom of this and understand what went on, and as they're understanding, their comfort level will grow.
Very sad. This is a very
No, it's
sad.
awful. It's a sad case, but understand it's isolated, aberrant act. This is not a pattern, and everyone who takes a look at it realizes it pretty fast as to that there's a mistake made. Now we all have to deal with it.
Sir, can you tell me exactly the date this happened and the time?
I don't have the date off the top of my head, but a few weeks ago.
And it was at their home in Oro Valley?
Well, it was in Oro Valley.
And the child was taken to a hospital in Oro Valley?
The child was taken to a hospital and dealt with it.
Okay, so they're released on their own recognizance and they must report to you?
They're released on their own recognizance because they voluntarily surrendered, showed up as asked, and will show up as asked for all further court proceedings.
But getting indicted on drug charges and child abuse, I mean, Mike, this is serious.
Well, obviously it's serious, or it wouldn't be here, but recognizing, it's, it's an indictment, it's an accusation, and you deal with it. And it is serious, but it's in the scheme of many cases we've all seen, it's a case that you manage the problem, try and resolve the problem, and do what's best for them and the community.
And grand jury.
Yeah, I mean, the grand jury can indict anyone the prosecutor wants them to indict. So the fact there's an indictment is, oh well. But it doesn't mean it's not a problem. It's a serious problem, and we'll have discussions, and I think their reasonable minds will come together and get this taken care of.
And the next hearing before Judge Rush, case management hearing, what is that?
That's just essentially a status, what's going on and what's going on with the case. Not much will happen then.
All right.